He was there. That's the testimony of God. He was there. That's the message of the cross. He was there when his son was spit on and mocked. He was there when he was stripped of his clothes and his back was beaten and filleted open. He was there when he went down that road to Golgotha, the Via Dolorosa. He was there watching and observing this. Before it even happened, Peter is there. He tries to stop it, and he takes his knife and he cuts off Malchus's ear. And he goes, Peter, put away your sword. Don't you know that this has to happen for the scriptures to be fulfilled? And he goes, and don't you know that my Father right now can call down legions of angels and stop this? But the Father stood back and he allowed it to happen for my salvation, for the salvation of the world, because he's so loved. And when he was beaten and when he was bruised and he was battered and he was bloody and his beard was being pulled out and the crown of thorns was being put on his head and he was being nailed, and then even from his perspective, because he was totally God and yet totally man, he thought he was abandoned there, and he said, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And it's like a picture of a young man crying out to his dad, Dad, why ain't you helping? Dad, why ain't you helping? But he knew that he could have called down legions of angels. But he said, no, this was the plan. And though he despised the cross, Jesus on his testimony was faithful to it. But he just stood back and let his son cry out, and let darkness cover, and let that pain go. And it says to me and you, if you understand, when we get the testimony of God, it says, that's how much I love you. Don't water that down. It's like taking a candle and trying to enhance the brightness of the sun. It doesn't work. You don't need the human wisdom or eloquence. What you need is Christ and him crucified. That's the message of the cross. That's the testimony of God. That's the message of the cross. That's the testimony of God. And that testimony will give us a testimony. Some people say it's foolishness. You got to give people something else. If you want to change their life, you want to help them out, if you want to, cleanse their conscience, if you want to heal the scars. No, give them Jesus. Give them the testimony of God. Everything else is just window dressing and peripheral. What you need is Christ and him crucified. That's the message of the cross. That's the testimony of God. That's the testimony of God.